Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's week 33 in my YouTube series, A Year to 60. Man, 60 is coming up next month. Oh, but I've lost 30 pounds in this year and I'm really proud of that fact. So this week I did a little experimenting, kind of put my scientific lab coat on and figured out, okay, what else can I do to kind of move this process along? And in doing that, I set myself backwards on the scale, and I'm not sorry, and I'll tell you why. So this week, I got a prescription for a continuous glucose monitor. And you know, as we've been talking week to week to week, the answer for me to getting this extra weight off my body lies in curing my insulin resistance. So if I have too much insulin coursing through my body, I'm not going to be able to access stored fat and burn that stored fat off. So it got me wondering, like, what actually is happening with my insulin levels? And in order to test your insulin, you have to go to the doctor and they do a test, and it's a one-time thing, and you find out what your insulin level is in that moment. That's great if you really kind of want that data. However, it's just a one-time thing. It's a snapshot in the whatever time of day that you do it. And it would depend on what you've been eating recently and how much you've been exercising and how much sleep you've been getting. So a better measure for me is like, where is my blood glucose? What's happening with that? So you can go to a drugstore, any drugstore, CVS, Walmart, Walgreens, whatever, and get a glucometer for, I don't know, $25, $30. And it's the little thing where you prick your finger and then you have these little tabs that you put in the blood. And then the glucometer, the machine itself, will tell you what is the level of sugar in your blood. So you know, if you have high blood sugar, you also have raised insulin at that point. But I wondered, like, what is happening with my blood sugar throughout the day? And I don't want to prick my finger 40 times during a day to figure that out because it hurts. The first couple times is fine, but after that, I'm like, yowza. So it gives me real insight and compassion for what my mom went through as a diabetic. And she had to prick her finger and test her blood like 4 times a day. I think she did it, and more if she felt like her blood sugars were going out of control. So to avoid all of that and to avoid all the blood and the mess, what I did was I went to my doctor and asked my doctor if he would give me a prescription for a continuous glucose monitor. And I chose the Freestyle Libre 2 because it was the cheapest one. And it is simply a little disc. It's like a little white disc that you place on the back of your arm. I should have worn a short sleeve shirt today. You place it on the back of your arm. There's a little probe in it, and the probe sticks into your arm, and it tests the blood sugar in the interstitial fluid, not the sugar that's in your blood, but the sugar that is between the skin and the blood. There's a level of fluid, and that is called the interstitial fluid. I think of glucose going through our system like little Pac-Men going through. So the Pac-Men are going through the blood all over the place. If you've got extra blood sugar, they also get into this interstitial fluid. So the blood glucose monitor will always lag a little bit behind a blood glucose monitor. Did I say that correctly? The continuous glucose monitor will lag, the numbers will lag a little bit behind the blood glucose monitor, but you don't have to keep pricking your finger, which hurts. So anyway, I've been using it for less than a week, and I will be honest with you, the jury is still out on whether I think this is an effective tool for me or not, but I wanted to share it with you because you're all part of my journey. I get a lot of low blood sugar warnings which kind of makes sense if I'm doing some fasting for longer periods, or if I'm keeping a lot of the carbohydrate out of my diet. But I've wanted to test this thing, like, is this thing even accurate? So I've been eating higher carb this week. I've been eating, like, I had a lemon bar yesterday because I wanted to see if I eat something high sugar, what does that do to my blood glucose? And it's fascinating because you can see your blood glucose raise and then come back down. And when I eat something really high sugar, it raises and then it crashes back down. And I thought, you know what, no wonder I was tired and exhausted and cranky. And, you know, whenever I was going through these blood sugar crashes after a high, excuse me, a high carbohydrate meal or a high sugar snack, then afterwards, like, I don't know, half an hour afterwards, the blood sugar just comes crashing back down. So that part has been fascinating to see. So I will include a picture of what the blood glucose monitor looks like on an arm. It's very non-intrusive. You can shower with it. You can submerge it for up to 30 minutes in water. It's not supposed to make a difference. Anyway, I think it has been fascinating. However, I did gain this week. So last week I weighed in at 217.8. This week I weighed in at 220.2, which is a 2.4 pound gain. However, I'm not sorry about that gain because I've been able to kind of examine, like, what does my body do? And what it has told me is, Cindy, when you start eating these high sugar foods, when you start eating all of the high carbohydrate meals, your blood sugar is going to raise, but then it's going to crash and you don't feel well when that crashes. And also you gain weight fairly quickly when you've been eating low carb and then all of a sudden you start adding in more carbs. So bottom line, what this continuous glucose monitor is telling me, and I've learned this in just a week, so maybe the jury isn't still out on this. I think it's been a valuable tool. It tells me I don't like the way I feel when my blood sugar comes crashing down. I don't like the way I feel when I get on the scale and the weight goes up. I don't like the way I feel when I have a bunch of glucose in my system because I feel, it's hard to describe, I feel a little more antsy, I feel a little restless, and then boom, here comes the blood sugar crash, and then I'm just tired and all I want to do is sit in the big chair and watch TV. Not good if you're trying to lose weight. So anyway, that was my week. I'm going to continue to wear this blood glucose monitor. Each sensor lasts for 14 days. So I'll have 2 weeks worth of data to look at. And that's probably another reason that I'm not real happy with it at the moment, is that I don't have enough data input in it already. The beautiful thing about this monitor is that it does test your blood sugar every minute, but it has an app associated with it, and then I can test my blood sugar when I'm ready to test it, and it will graph when I've tested it, if that makes sense. But it does have alarms to it, so if you have a very high blood sugar or a very low blood sugar, an alarm will go off. Mine has been going off a lot for a low blood sugar, but I can't shut that alarm off. Now, if I were diabetic, I wouldn't want to be shutting my alarms off because I would want to know when I have these big ups and downs. But I know that I don't have diabetes, and I also usually don't have hypoglycemia. There it is. I had a little brain fart right there. So anyway, I don't pay too much attention. There is a graph where you're supposed to be, this green section. I've always, with the exception of the low dips, I've never gone higher than the green section, even when I've eaten high sugar foods and high carbohydrate meals. So that tells me my pancreas is working very well to pump out insulin, but I don't want it to work that hard. So I want to go back to the way I was feeling really, really good when I was eating lower carb, when I was allowing a lot of time between meals so that my insulin levels had time to come back down. So that was my week. Thanks for listening. I will see you next week, and hopefully I can get these 2.4 pounds off by next week. Okay? Talk to you soon. Bye.